Okay, now can you hear me? Hopefully you can hear me now. Um, so if you can hear me, just still no sound? Hold on. Let me try one more time. Let me see audio. Default. Testing. Okay. It's saying it's coming through. Built in. Okay. And yes, yes, yay! We have sound. I realized what was happening. My computer was picking up my Bluetooth speaker, which is in another room, so I didn't even realize it. So I couldn't hear my voice coming through. Okay, great. So I'm going to start all over again. I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer, family medicine, community health physician, and founder of Total Weight Care Institute. If you're here, say hello. Thank you, those of you who said you couldn't hear me. And if you watch this later, say hashtag replay. And what I wanted to talk about today, again, is a GLP-1 topic. I say a lot of things about health, wellness, and weight loss or weight care. However, the questions I get tend to be a lot about the medication. So I talk about that a lot as well. But if there's other things you want to hear about, please just, you know, give me topics that you'd like to know about. If there's nothing to do with the medications, that's fine. I talk about a lot of things. So, um, and when it comes to the GLP-1s, the reason why I talk about them so much is because I've been using them quite a bit longer than most doctors. I've been using it for weight loss and for diabetes for over 10 years. I've actually been prescribed a GLP-1 for many years, and I've gone through various iterations from Victoza to Ozempic, now to Manjaro. And so I want to talk about them because I'm getting a lot of questions from people who are being treated by other physicians, but who know that I understand the topic pretty well, and they want to know what I know. And right now, the biggest issue is even when people get it approved by their insurance companies, they still have difficulty getting it because of shortages. Now, there are lots of reasons why we say that we have problems getting these medications, that the shortages. Now, a lot of been blame has been put on the fact that people who aren't diabetic are taking the medication. First of all, that's very much a myth. The medication for diabetes and the medication for weight care are two totally different medicines. They're the same formula, but two different names. The indications are different. So someone who does not have diabetes cannot get the weight care version unless they're paying $1,500 out of pocket. Now, I don't know about you and the people you know, but I don't know very many people are going to pay that much money month after month after month in order to get that medication. The other that I hear a lot about is it's because celebrities are taking it for weight loss. Now, I don't statistically that doesn't make sense in terms of shortages. Celebrities are a very small pocket of the population. There are even smaller of them who are taking the medication. So you may have a couple thousand people taking the medicine that is not keeping it from several million. So that's also another myth. Um, the absolute reason that medication is in shortage is simply because manufacturing did not meet the demand, period. Um, and so and um and so that's really the reason why there's a shortage. There've always been those in diet culture who have wanted to lose weight and will go to any lengths to do that, but that is not the majority. The reason these medications work to cause weight loss is because of an underlying metabolic issue. And so it's only if there's no metabolic issue or there's another one that's overriding the medication do they not work. And I see a question about that, and I will answer questions at the end and I'll go back through. And so that's the reason why there's a shortage. And I just talked a little bit about the misconceptions. But why is it so important? One, because yes, they do afford quite a significant amount of weight loss, mostly fat loss. There is another misconception that it causes muscle loss. Now, it's not the medication that causes muscle loss, it's the behavior while losing weight that causes muscle loss. So if you're not eating enough protein and you're not doing any type of strength training, yes, you'll lose muscle, but that's in any weight loss process, not just these medications. So it's always really important to make sure your nutritional you eat a complete nutritional balanced meals every at least 3 times a day. If you can't get in 3 meals a day, then at least use a supplement that's high in protein and that has many micronutrients in it, like some type of either commercial shake like Ensure Complete or Fairlife, or you can make them yourself and just add protein powder, whey powder of different types. And so that's really important. So when you're using these medications, and they often afford so much benefit. For example, they help with inflammation because they keep blood sugar down, and blood sugar and inflammation go hand in hand. They help with blood pressure reduction because it reduces afterload of the heart. So heart function becomes more efficient, and therefore blood pressure also drops. It also helps protect against issues with congestive heart failure, with dementia, and with food cravings of all types, including drug cravings, alcohol cravings, cigarette cravings, and food cravings. And so that's why these medications are so highly sought after. Many people, yes, may start taking them because they help with weight loss, which is a side effect of the medication. It helps with fat loss, which is essentially reversing the insulin effects of making fat, which I've talked about in some previous videos. However, um, usually once people have started taking them and they start feeling the benefit of them, they stop caring as much about the weight loss and they really do feel healthier. And so therefore, they really feel it when the medication stops. And when there's a shortage, that's unfortunate. And so what can we do about that? So often what we'll do is we will off sometimes what I'll do is I'll prescribe a trusted compounded medication right along with it. If someone can't get the brand, then at least they have a compounded medication to fall back on. And when I say trusted, what I mean is an FDA regulated facility that also prescribes in FDA approved doses, that also is not being price gouged. And so the prices stay the same throughout all doses. And they are shipped appropriately and in cold storage. They're cold shipped so that the medication doesn't denature and it's still good when you get it. And those are things that I look for when I say reputable. And also there's a designation that they're given won't mean much to most people. However, 503A, 503B are a designation that says that these are reputable pharmacies. It's a designation for pharmacies that do well. And so um, really that's the only thing you can do is just have a compounded medication as a backup. There are some companies out there that will help you find the branded in your immediate area so that you can get there. It's very difficult for your physicians to have time to fill out multiple prior authorizations because you realize every time you send a prescription to a different pharmacy, another prior authorization gets sent. That's more paperwork that many of us don't have time to do. The other is that they don't have time or the manpower, women power to call around to various pharmacies to see if it's available for you. That's your job. If you truly want the medication, advocate for yourself by making those phone calls and finding it somewhere. But again, there's only so much that people can do when the pharmaceutical companies themselves are the ones that have the shortage. You can't make it out of nothing. And it doesn't help to blame other people for it when it's really not their fault. There's no one disease state that's more important than another disease state. They're both equally important and they equally deserve to be treated. And they're not even treated by the same medications. So if you are diabetic and you have access to Trulicity, Victoza, Ozempic, and Mounjaro, that's wonderful. But just know those medications cannot be taken by someone who's using it for weight loss because their insurance won't cover it. So you can get Saxenda, and you can get Wegovy and Zepbound for weight loss. again, but there's shortages across the board. And so again, the only way you can get around those shortages to get the medication that you need is to find a reputable compounded medication or simply wait. Now, the other thing though, there are other pillars to weight care and there's other pillars for diabetes control. It's not all medication. No one should ever rely 100% on medication for the treatment of any disease state. One of the best ways you can actually help the medications work better or not even need them at all necessarily is reducing stress. Cortisol, as I talked about over and over and over again in many of my videos, cortisol will derail any process because it will counter the medication and it will make the medication have to do more work. The other is making sure you're getting adequate protein, you're drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. And one of the ways to reduce stress is to move, build muscle. Pilates is wonderful. You can kind of kill three birds with one stone. You get muscle work and you get a community in classes and you get stress reduction. And so all of these things help. But again, you have to do all of them. No one thing is going to work by itself. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the questions because I see quite a few. And I know we started a little bit late. And I try not to keep you too long. So the question here is, do you have any suggestions for insurance company that will not cover the entire class of drugs, only the medications indicated for diabetes? There really is nothing you can do. You can advocate. You can actually write to your representatives because they're the ones who vote on this. They're the ones who make insurance companies kind of hold their feet to the fire. So you can write to your representatives and explain to them that by not covering medications for a known disease that has been classified as a disease, that essentially what they're doing is discriminating against those who have a disease state. So that's one. The only other option is to really is to use a compounded medication. If your insurance company doesn't or or pay out of pocket. If you're willing to pay out of pocket for the medication, then but who has $1,500 to cash, give out? You can use the savings coupons from Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, which can reduce the price, usually at most by about $500. If you have insurance that commercial insurance, sometimes it will drop at $25. But again, even if it drops it to $25, even if it gets approved, if there's a shortage, there's a shortage, and no amount of approval is going to get the medication for you. And so it's important to have a backup. So part 2, seeing a menopause specialist on Monday. Any suggestions I should be asking the doctor? Age 60. Essentially, ask the doctor what they do for menopause, what their attitudes about menopause are. And then also, what are the symptoms of menopause that are causing you the most problems? Is it disrupting your sleep? Are you having hot flashes? Are you having painful intercourse? Are you having, weight gain through the middle? If those are things that are causing you a problem, then talk to them about that and your risk factors for hormone replacement therapy if that's something that you are considering. If it's someone who's a menopause specialist, then trust me, you're going to be in good hands. The question is, am I operating in Texas yet? No. And the reason is right now, every single residency and fellowship is coming to an end. There are people who are applying for licenses all over the country. This is the busiest time for licensing boards. And so it's taking a lot longer to get licensed in various states. And so as soon as that happens, of course, I will make an announcement and everybody will know. My goal right now is to get licensed in as many states as possible so that I can treat as many people as possible. Your type 2 diabetes discovered 15 months ago, started Mounjaro 12 months ago, stayed on low dose of 5 milligrams, now moving up to 7.5. Lost 93 pounds, but have been on a plateau for over 2 months. Starting weight 293, current weight 200. That's part 1. Okay, and then part 2. Now, the other thing, though, is, Jennifer, I recognize this, that when you are taking a medication for diabetes, now you're on a very low dose. 7.5 is still only halfway up. Um, and you really want to make sure that you are in partnership with your physician about how you want to continue. Um, it's not about weight loss. You have a metabolic disease that needs to be treated. The weight loss is just a side effect. It's a secondary benefit, so to speak, but it's not the primary. The primary is getting your diabetes under control. And it's the getting the diabetes under control that is allowing your body to get rid of fat. And so that should be the focus. Um, it, the question here is, can Manjaro cause hormonal issues or is it a coincidence? 57, had total hysterectomy. 25, haven't taken hormones in years, but now having hot flashes and other symptoms. Unlikely. Still, if you're having new symptoms, always get checked as to why. Um, hot flashes can be for lots of different reasons. Cardiovascular, a heart can do it. Um, the other is low blood sugars can cause hot flashes as well. So that's something to definitely bring up with your doctor, because anytime you have a new symptom, you always have to ask the question why. And even though the medications work and they work well, the only way that they work on hormones is to correct them. So if you're having something going on, you need to make sure that that correction isn't causing a another problem or a problem somewhere else. So I'm going to try and go up because there are some questions that are higher up that I need to get to. And let me see if I can kind of, yeah, here we go. Oops. Uh, oh, there we go. So does diabetes affect the abdominal area? Absolutely. So what diabetes does is it makes you grow through the middle, because what it does is diabetes is a disease of high insulin, and insulin makes our body make fat, particularly through our middle. So yes, diabetes does do that. Some of the medications for diabetes will also do that, but overall they don't. They generally cause weight reduction. And the other thing that has to happen with diabetes is protein, paying attention to protein, and also building muscle. I cannot stress that enough. Resistance work for muscle toning, muscle building is absolutely necessary for overall health, later health, and for managing any metabolic disease, which is what diabetes is, which is what weight gain is. And so, muscle, yes, is absolutely important. Um, The Ensure protein is great. Thanks for that recommendation. Yes, Ensure Max Protein, Ensure Complete is, if you are missing a meal, it has more calories in it, so it's better. So breast cancer stage 3 on estrogen and chemo medication, liver labs elevated. What type of scan for this? The type of scan is your doctor. You ask your doctor. That's a question for your physician. Because without having a full story and a full history, there's no way I could give an answer to that. Okay. Um, and you said, I'm a type 2 diabetic and not losing weight. Any advice? Any advice is don't worry about your weight and worry about your diabetes. Honestly. When your diabetes is under control, your weight will come down. So if you're not losing weight, it's because your diabetes still isn't under control, or your body likes where you are. So if your BMI is close to what's considered quote unquote normal, then it may be where your body wants to sit. If you're more muscular, your BMI tends to be a little higher, your weight tends to be a little higher. And so weight is not a good measure of health. Other numbers are, like your hemoglobin A1C is and your cholesterol and your blood pressure. Those are more important than the number on a scale. Let me see if I can find if there are any other questions. Oh, these are just a bunch of messages saying that I have sound. So if you have any other questions, or if you think of questions later, you can always put them in the comments and I'll see them. You can email me those questions as well at courage@drtoomer.com, and that's drtoomer.com, or you can send me a message on my website, which is also drtoomer.com, and I'll answer them. If you're someone who's looking for help, you can also contact me and let me know what you're looking for. If I can't help you, I will definitely give you the name of someone, refer you to someone who can. Thank you, Dr. Matthews, for putting those in there for me. I usually do a ticker along the bottom, but it gets kind of visually a bit much to put it through the bottom. I guess I could have typed it in there myself. Um, and so, and it's also, um, it's just been really important to just try and pay attention as much as you can. Try to do as much as you can, but in small increments. If you don't overwhelm yourself, it's better to do things a little bit at a time and have progress than to try to do too much and just stop altogether. And so, really, if you have questions, if you have issues, if you have things that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. I really don't mind. You can also find my groups. I have uh, Facebook groups that you can join and also ask me questions. And they're all on my page, so you can just look for them there. Lauren writes, thank you so much. I find myself quoting you so much when having conversations on this topic. Weight loss is a side effect. It very much is. The medication is treating underlying metabolic condition. It absolutely is. Insulin resistance are all new phrases in my vocabulary now. I'm glad to hear it, because the more we know, the more we can advocate for ourselves. The more we know, the better we can behave in order to help ourselves, and in ways that are protective, because protecting our mindset is just as important as protecting our body, sometimes more so. All right. So, well, thank you for joining me. I'll see you here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And that's every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Again, if you have topics you want to talk about, you have questions, please let me know and I will address them here. All right. You all have a good night.